Hi guys, this is Tomas, Steel3 MHT, and today I want to show you my Meshtastic build. Again, it's no new invention, and it's the nice Meshtastic case from TonyG from printables.com. And yeah, what was missing is the power switch. If you see here, not sure if the camera is focusing. And it just arrived today, so I'm gonna take this apart once more, put the power switch in, and while I'm doing that I can show you my messy wiring. So let me take it apart and then we have a look. Okay, as you can see, I've tightened the screws. So a little help with some pliers to undo them. Okay, I let this run as a time lapse, otherwise it gets too boring, and when I have it apart, we'll have a quick look. Okay, and here we go. Let's first get the battery out and disconnect it. And then, okay, now I can also take the improvised antenna off, and the case. Okay, so as you can see, all just standard components, cheapest possible way probably to build your Meshtastic gadget. Heltec V3 version 3.1, I think, cheap GPS receiver from eBay, and on the back side I also put in the BMP 280, I think, sensor for temperature, pressure and humidity. Mind you, I'm not sure how far I can trust this, because obviously it's inside the case, so humidity will be probably lower than outside humidity, and temperature is also not very reliable because the sensor is self-heating. I think the temperature sensor on board this sensor is just used to compensate the measurement curve for the humidity and for the pressure. So the temperature is unreliable, and the humidity and the pressure is also not super reliable. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but at the moment I'm just using the standard Meshtastic software, and it just always reads something like 30 degrees and 950 hectopascal and 30% humidity. So not sure. Anyway, it was just a few extra euro, so when I ordered the GPS I also ordered the sensor and hooked it up. And yeah, I mean the trickiest bit of this operation is basically getting all your wires in, because the TonyG case is pretty slim and small. And as you can see, I also have the 2N2222 transistor, so that the GPS module can be switched on and off from the Heltec. So yeah, that's about it. Really nothing special. Initially I thought I'll put two switches in, one for power, one for the GPS, but then I thought, okay, the transistor, the Heltec is already controlling the power of the GPS module with the transistor, so no need to put an extra switch in. Okay, yeah, of course I don't have a plexiglass window which goes in here, and in terms of buttons I had to file them down a bit, because this is printed with ABS, so the distance between the button and the case, it all varies a bit, so you have to play a bit and sand it down until you don't accidentally press the buttons when the case is closed, screwed tight. And as you can see, I also decided to print or use the shorter button for the reset and a slightly longer one for the programming button, so that you can basically from the outside see, okay, the one that is sticking out is the one that you can press without resetting the device. Okay, and in the back, just the 18650 cell. And yeah, that's probably not the cell you should use. You should probably go for a protected one, but I was cheap. I got the Chinese BAK-A01 cell, and this is unprotected. So if that one shorts out due to some reason, you get nice fireworks. Okay, and when you flip this around, then you basically see, yeah, the battery goes in like this, and then you have, can close it. Okay, so let me try to mount the switch and then we put it together again. I'm not sure if there's anything else to say about it. The wiring you can find on the internet. How to wire up the GTU7 module, how to wire up the BMP280. I think the only thing that I had to do is in the Meshtastic app set up the GPIO pins that were used for the GPS module, because, well, I'm not sure if there should be a built-in default, but without setting the GPIO pin values, the GPS receiver was not working, so now I've just typed it in and now it's working fine. Okay, another time lapse until I have the switch in, and then we can put it back together. Okay, maybe short confession, of course, I could not get the proper screws in the hardware store. So this is too long. If I would screw this in, it will split the case. So I've done the idiotic thing and cut those screws. So I hope that will work. Does that look better? Not really, marginally. Good enough. Okay, I'm too picky. I'll do it again from scratch. And now we have a nice joint. This is how it's supposed to look like. Good. Then I would need some tissue to clean up the extra flux, and of course there's no tissue here. Let me see. 1 second. Yep, found something. Some old t-shirt which has holes cut down to have some extra rags here in the lab. I think, yeah, of course I could now be super picky and clean it from the top and from the bottom, but I think I saved the hassle. Ugh, I have a splash of solder down here. That should not. Okay, maybe we should first try if the switch works. So switch it on. Yeah, switch it off again. Good. Okay, so next thing is I need to get a proper antenna, because this is just provisioning. And as you know, the little coil antennas, they are basically useless without a counterpoise. And well, here in this thing I don't really have a lot of counterpoise, and they're also not tuned to the right frequency either. So this is already a big improvement compared to this one. But in order to properly work, I would need a 1-to-1 balance to get to go from the unbalanced coaxial cable to a symmetrical unbalanced dipole. Costs a few euros at Mauser or so, but I haven't. Yeah, biggest problem ordering is always, I always miss one part in my part box, and then it doesn't make sense to spend 6 or 7 euro on shipping, right? So I have to wait for some things to accumulate, and once I have an order of like, I don't know, 50-60 bucks, then it makes sense to, you know, pay 6-7 euro on shipping. Okay, final test, switch it on, and here we are, still the stable firmware. Okay, and now let me see if I can show you my mobile phone without any private data. Let's see, am I connected already? Let's see this. So here, it's all reflecting, maybe like this. So connect to it. And yeah, it's reading. And okay, as you can see here, you have the battery in percentage. And yeah, the iOS app looks much nicer, I must say. So maybe this one gets also polished over time. This is a bit, does not look as nice as the iOS one. Ah yeah, here you see now the sensor temperature data from the sensor has shown up. It says, okay, not 30 this time, 26.4 degrees, which is probably also wrong. 950 hectopascal, 37% humidity. So as I said, take this with a grain of salt. And in order for the GPS to work, it needs to get a fix first. So I've switched it off now for half an hour, so it will take a while. It says no SATs at the moment, but if I let it sit here on the desk, it will pick it up sooner or later. So that was it. I hope I can speed this up. That was like half an hour of recording now, and nobody wants to watch that. But you get the idea. Yeah, it's a nice case. You have a 18650 cell. It's also a nice, yeah, it's a nice form factor. Yeah, you can hold it like this. Now I need to get a proper antenna, and you can switch it on and off now. Looks okay for a portable setup. Maybe put that on the backpack with a small, put that in the backpack with a small rubber antenna and see if I can pick up some station. Because here in my neck of the woods, it's still a bit empty, Meshtastic wise. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.